Hello there, it's Simone. I'm here to share week 4 for 31 inks, 31 pens, 31 letters. Yes, I was able to say it all the way through. And I want to introduce the pens that I picked for the inks that I pulled from my box. This is a way for me to play with my inks and pens. I decided to do this at the end of April. I wanted to get rid of more of my ink samples quickly, and this is a good way for me to do that. I usually go from Friday to the next Thursday, and then on Thursday I film whatever I have to say about the inks. And yeah, I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's one more week left for me to share after this one. And then I'll start into my summer project because I already have another project lined up. Because why not? It definitely makes this fountain pen hobby exciting for me. And so that's what I do. On day 17 for this project, let's see how many times I can say project this video. I pulled the Atramentis Alexander Hamilton, which was a sample that my friend Marilyn sent over. I have used at least 3 of the samples this month so far that she sent over. And I've always been intrigued by this ink. And the first thing that I noticed is that it is super extremely wet. I put it into the Montegrappa Elmo in Marshmallow. This was a Goulet exclusive last year. So that means April, May of 2023. And I took out the nib that it came with and put on the journaler nib that I had purchased secondhand. And leave a comment down below if you have a problem mixing trim colors, because lots of my friends get goosebumps or they just don't like when you have a silver steel nib on a pen that has gold trim. I actually do not give anything and I don't care. So whatever the nib I want to use and whatever the pen I want to use, I just do. For me, Jowo nibs usually have average flow. They're not extremely wet. They're not extremely dry. But this ink must be super wet because it just flows out of the nib. And even though it's nice, I don't think it's a perfect pairing. And because I actually really like how dark this purple ink looks, I decided that I want to keep it, the rest of the sample that I still have, and put it in one of my drier pens to see how that works. And dry pens, because I know that I don't necessarily like dry pens or dry inks, I only have the Platinum 3776 that I would consider a pen that is a dry pen. What is this one though? Montegrappa Elmo. And it doesn't feel as wet and as, uncontrollable almost. Marshmallow. On this Rhodia paper. How do I write this without getting off the page? Let me just do journaler. On this Rhodia paper than it did on the Cosmo Airlight as well as the what was that? Cosmo Air Light. Here's all the inks that I'm colors that I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to open the page over to here. This paper that I'm using in this notebook is Cosmo Air Light, and then I also use Tomoe River paper. I don't really discriminate, so I use interchangeably OG TRP as well as Sanzen Tomoe River paper. So here, this is the entry for this one. I thought I was going to be safe with this Elmo and the nib, but I feel, to me, it's a little bit too wet. So I really want to see how it looks in a drier pen. And then on Saturday, May 18th, I pulled Herbin Ambre de Birmanie. This is a yellow ochre leaning color. And yeah, I don't know why I felt so drawn to this ink. It's okay, but I do definitely have a favorite in Diamine Brandy Snap. This is a tiny bit lighter and it just isn't doing it for me. I put it into my Sailor Pro Gear Too Hot Habanero with the music nib. And yeah, so I definitely was able to get this to write immediately, and I didn't have problems with the writing angle. There's not a lot of hard starts there or baby's bottom. But I'm not so sure that this nib is the right nib for me. I need to try it again, and that's why I'm glad I'm doing the summer project as well, so I can have another ink in this pen before the San Francisco Pen Show. And then I can decide if I want this ground down to something else. So this is Sailor, and I'm just gonna write Pro Gear PG Too Hot Habanero. And this is the music nib. It's an okay color, but it just doesn't wow me. I know that I'm not really drawn to yellow ink, so it's not really surprising that this didn't really work for me. Then May 19th, day 19, I pulled Birmingham Pen Co. Weeping Willow. This was a sample that my friend Casey sent over. There's several Casey samples in this this week. And I put it into the Platinum 3776 Century with a broad nib. And it's a swamp color. And it definitely changes colors more on the Cosmo Air Light paper. It's really, it has these pinkish undertones, super swamp. Not as prevalent here on the Rhodia paper, but I noticed with the colors that are still coming up that I do like colors that are just one specific thing instead of those swampy colors that change their looks depending on the paper. That's not necessarily something that I'm very drawn towards. Platinum 3776. And on this Rhodia paper, I definitely feel more drag. This is the, I don't know what this color is. It's the rhodium trim, black probably. And it has a broad nib. And you can see how different this looks to the Alexander Hamilton in the Jovo nib. This just, even on this Rhodia paper, it glid over the paper without any feedback. When I'm writing with this broad nib, even though it's a broad nib and not a medium nib, I feel well, it's a bit exaggerated if I say the paper fibers, but it almost feels like that. On the 19th, I made a bottle inventory. I have 40 bottles as of the 19th of May. 3 bottles of those are blue, like Waterman Serenity Blue, a mixable blue from Platinum and Carbon Black. And the rest is colors. 10 of those 40 bottles I have not used in pens yet. So I made this inventory. This is tough to understand. The 40 bottles is already including the 4 bottles that I let go of. But this is what I'm focusing on during summer. All of my ink bottles that I have in my stash. I want to figure out whether they are there and deserve a spot in my drawer or not. I had a really hard time picking my Pelikan as well as my Scribo pen. I talked about the pens that I hadn't used so far in this 31 inks, 31 pens, 31 letters challenge. And it was those 2 piston filler pens. And it definitely is a clear indicator that I should probably stay away from piston filling pens or vacuum filling pens for that matter as well in the future, because I am definitely not enjoying them as much, especially the cleaning after I have used them. And with this Pelikan, there's one more thing that I'm really annoyed about is, can you see how it doesn't feel like it's closing properly? And I'm really afraid of turning it too far. It sounds like there's a cat in a room somewhere. And so I'm always irritated by that. But I pulled Colorverse Brane and put it in the Pelikan M800 green demonstrator with a fine nib. And the only reason why I put it in there is because it's a green ink in a green pen, and I was determined to finally use the Scribo as well as the Pelikan. And now that I'm going to check. Okay, cat was trapped in the garage. This ink color is amazing. It reminds me of Rohrer und Klingner Altgoldgrün, but it has shimmer. And last month I gave away the rest of my Altgoldgrün ink bottle because it didn't do it for me anymore. And now I'm super enamored with an ink that basically looks the same. I don't know. So in my head, for some reason, I talked down this pen, and maybe because of the cap issue that I have, but oh wow, this nib is just so amazing. Pelikan M800 green demo. I love writing with this pen. And the shimmer ink, as you can see, it doesn't have any problems flowing through the pen. There is an even distribution. This is amazing. The first inking that I put in here was the 2023 full bottle of the Inkvent, which was a shimmer ink as well, Raise a Glass, and I had a similarly great experience with the shimmer ink in there. So wow, I'm super impressed by this pen. I love writing with it. I wish it wasn't a piston filler though. And then the next day, I set out on that day. Today I am going to fill the Scribo feel. So then I pulled Diamine Salamander, And yeah, this is another swampy ink. I think on this paper it looks really brown leaning, but I don't think it is that swampy when it's on normal paper. But yeah, it's another one of those swampy colors that I'm not really enamored with. I thought I was going to change, but I'm not. Oh, and in my notebook, I compared Troublemaker Hanging Rice with Colorverse Brane, but Hanging Rice is much greener. There's more yellow in this ink. And I'm actually, after my summer project, when I'm doing my color ink bottle project, I'm considering adding this ink bottle to my stash because it's enough difference between those, and also this has shimmer. I did my inventory and I realized that I only have one shimmer ink bottle in my stash. So adding another one would be a momentous occasion. You can clearly see that this ink looks different on this paper. It looks also a little bit darker. That is something that I had noticed when I used this pen in previous months. I don't think the cap seals extremely well. But again, it's a different writing experience to the Pelikan, so there's definitely, even though they're both quite expensive pens and they have gold nibs, I think both of them are 18 karat gold nibs. Check. Let me check. Yep. They behave completely differently. The writing experience is different. But again, when I wrote with this Scribo feel in Mosto, what is this? What is this M here with a medium nib? That I noticed when I used this, I noticed that I definitely am drawn to these bigger pens, and that this pen is actually so comfortable in my hand. Every time I use it, I'm astonished by how comfortable this pen feels. Not the perfect ink color, but you know, that's okay. Now the next two are some amazing experiences, and I think that's because they are Benus and the colors are awesome. This is another ink sample that I received from Casey. I think Salamander is from Casey as well. And Colorverse Brane is from Roxy. This one is Casey. This one is Marilyn. I pulled out Akkerman, Business in the Front, Party in the Back. And I put it into this Benu Euphoria, which was the first Benu Euphoria that I purchased. It was the first Benu pen for me at all. And I've been thinking about if you could only keep one pen from each brand, which would that be? I think even though I have there's another one coming up, I have really pretty Benu pens. I think this one is the one that I would keep if I had to pick only one, which surprised me when I thought about it. But I really love it. It's something else. It's just good. I have a fine nib on this one. And yes, you would be right if you said, well, what is so special about this blue-black ink that appears to be just blue-black? And yes, that is correct. It's really dark and it's really lovely. And I went to the website to check how much the price for a bottle is. Yes, I said that again. And I did and it read something like when you put it in really broad nibs, or when you use a water brush to pull out the ink color, then it would be you would be surprised. So I tried this on Tomoe River paper and used a water brush to just fill in the empty spaces here. And then I also put a really big rectangle with the ink here and pulled it out. I see some pink undertones right here, very, very lightly, but then it goes more into the, I would even say blue-green. It leans green. So the cyan color spectrum, not ultramarine, which I find very interesting. So this is definitely a bottle that I would consider. And this was day 22. That was yesterday. Akkerman. I have not been able to get this ink name on nicely. Business. Yeah, okay. If you omit letters, then maybe in the front party in the back. And this is a Benu Euphoria. And I don't know if you have seen the matcha latte exclusive Goulet collaboration, Goulet exclusive, and I am super drawn to that one as well. This ink would be awesome in that pen if you were a color matcher, which I am not. But yeah, I don't know if I need 4. Well, how many Benus do I have? 3. Earl Grey, Gold Coast, Jazz. Yeah, that would be the 4th one. I sold the confetti milkshake. But wow. I've been considering, so I'm keeping that sample because I just like it so much. And I've been considering maybe emptying this one out. Where is it? This one, the Cello Procure Slim Mini in, I think it's called Azure Blue with a medium fine nib, and put that ink in here. I don't know. It's very appealing to me to do that. I haven't done it yet, but I'm thinking about it. Then today I pulled an ink that was one of the first inks that I have received in ink swaps from my friend Mar, which is Sailor and Tinterias podcast collaboration, Spicy Chipotle. I put it in another Benu Euphoria. This is the Gold Coast. This is an Atlas exclusive Benu. Also super pretty. And it also has a fine nib. And so I fell in love when I used this ink first. I fell in love with this ink, and I have been looking for a replacement for this since forever, and I haven't been able to find one. And when I swatched this and then put it in the pen and wrote with it, my thoughts were, I had two. Wow, that's amazing. The first one was this ink is still amazing. I still love it. And the second was, none of the inks that I have tried so far hold up to this one. I have not been able to find a dupe for this that would even live up to how amazing I think this ink is. Which, says something. I have no idea if this is still available or if this is just the last hurrah that I am able to do with this one, and then I am done. And that's okay too. I am not that much into ink that I would, go hunting down this ink. But it's still really fun to see that, wow, I still love this ink as much as I liked it when I tried it for the very first time. So these are all the 7 inks and pens that I have used in the last week. I really enjoyed getting into the pens and inks, the pens that I hadn't pulled yet. And definitely I had been talking these pens down. I need to get over myself and just use them, even if they are cartridge converters, because they're just so great. And then I wanted to show you all the pens that I will be using until the month is over. So today's the 23rd, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. So these pens are the ones that I haven't used yet, with the exception of this one. This was the copper patina failure, and so I've decided, because I didn't really use it, this will be one. But that's all the pens that I have left that are not inked currently or haven't been used in this project. And I think that's interesting to me, that I didn't consider the fact that I wouldn't have enough pens for this. That is some weird, hilarious, funny. When I think of my pen collection, I always see a lot of pens, but that a lot of pens is almost less than 31 pens is wild to me. I just wasn't able to make this connection until just the other day, when I gathered all the pens that I hadn't used yet, and because I was curious, would I even make it to 31 or not? So I had already decided that I was probably going to give away this pen. And so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to use it. And maybe if it's not that bad, I'll keep it, because this is the only pen that I can use this beginner's nib from Pelikan on. And so maybe I'll keep it if I'm enjoying it enough, because there's no rule that says that I need to get rid of everything that I'm not using frequently. I don't know if I need to add anything. I think that was actually today, when I pulled my ink today, I was not filling the ink, and I didn't feel bad by just putting it to the side and into the giveaway pile. So this week, since curating a smaller sampling of inks that I was interested in, I have used the ink that I pulled the first time. So I have gone down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus 1 is 8. So my current ink sample number is, let me check, 104 minus 8. So that would make it 96. When I'm done with the month of May, I'm going to talk about this maybe next time a little bit more. I am going to go into my ink bottles. This is a catalog of all the ink bottles that I currently have in my stash. These are the 3 blues and blacks that I'm not going to include in this project. This is going to be my summer project. I will do as many days as are feasible in June, and then I will probably go starting from the middle of July, or whenever I have time, and ink up 3 pens at a time. And I sorted them by I will go in and start with all the inks that I haven't yet had in a pen, which is, did I say that, 10, I believe? Goes all the way to here. So then it's 9, I guess. I'm not sure if I had Aqua Lagoon in a pen. Oh, I had this one too. What am I saying? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Huh, okay. So it's 9. 10. There we go. And then all of these have been in pens before, maybe just one. And I just want to give myself the opportunity to use them in a different pen and just see how I like them, if I still like them. And I am not going to pull blindly. I just sorted them by what I thought would make a good color, you know, contrast to the previous one. And I also, so these take 3. So when I'm going 10, and then maybe I'll do more on the days. And then if I go bi-weekly, I have them sorted in a nice, so that I get a variety of colors every week that I do this. And yeah, so that's what's coming up in June. I will still see the inks, and then I can decide what pen I want to put this in. This one I think might be a really great contender as a dupe, I don't know, for Akkerman, Business in the Front, Party in the Back. I'm really curious how that looks. Maybe I'll put it in the exact same pen. I don't know yet. So that's what's coming up. Next week I'll do another one of those roundups, and I think next week, Thursday, is going to be the 30th. So then I'm not going to include day 31 in one of those weekly roundups, and just dive into my June project and include that day 31 in then. I probably also won't do a this is how this project went, because I always talk about this, and I might just make an Instagram post and share my favorites and stuff like that. I have a cool idea for a wrap-up from the Fine Nib Witch on Instagram, if you want to go check her out. I want to try and see if this is a way for me to be able to wrap up these 31 days. Alrighty then, I think that's all. I hope to see you again next week. Until then, bye. Hi there, it's Simone. I'm here for week 4. I don't even know what I'm here for.